Hi, I'm going to talk about appraisal today. What is an appraisal and why is it needed? And hopefully I'll give you a couple of examples on an appraisal situation. So what is an appraisal? Basically what an appraisal is a professional estimate of your home or a property when you're getting a mortgage or possibly getting a refinance. That's what it's basically used for. And the reason an appraisal is needed is usually when you get a loan from a bank or an institution, then they need to make sure that whatever you're buying and paying for that property, and if they're giving you a loan on it, they want to make sure that it's valued at that price. So if you're buying a home, let's say for $1 million and putting 20% down, the banks, in this case, let's say it's a bank giving you the money, they want to make sure that the property you're buying is worth $1 million. Obviously, if it's worth 700 or 800, then they don't want to give you a loan for $800,000 or $1 million. So that's the purpose of an appraisal. So how do you determine the appraisal value or the value of your property? Usually that's done by an appraiser. An appraiser is someone who's certified and licensed to do a valuation of a property, in this case a residential property, but they also do a valuation on commercial properties. Obviously on commercial properties, they look at your income, your gross income, square footage, and the features, and then do the calculations on your income. But we're going to focus on residential, and in residential income, or actually in residential sales or refinance, the appraisal is done by what we call comparative analysis, or by actually measuring the current home, looking at the features of the home, the upgrades, any view, any preview of the property, any prime location, or in some cases it's a fixer or it needs some work. So the appraiser takes past sales, measures the property, looks at the location and other features which I won't get into details about, and then they come up with a value. Based on that value, the banks can decide whether they want to give you a loan or not. Hopefully it's going to appraise to a value. So that's what the purpose of an appraisal is to determine the value for the purpose of the bank to give you a loan, of course if you qualify. Other thing I wanted to tell you about is to give you an example on sometimes the appraised value doesn't work and you may still want to carry on with the process of the home. So I'll give you an example. I have a house in escrow right now. It's in escrow for $935. So I'll give you the scenario where the house was listed for $900,000, and right now, even in the COVID market, as you know, the market is very, very active. There's a highly shortage of homes for sale right now, so there's multiple offers. So in this case, we wrote an offer for $900,000, and within 2 days, and they were asking for $900,000. So we offered them full price. We found out that the next day there was 5 more offers, and it actually sold for $950,000. Obviously, my buyer was not happy. We went up to $930,000, and then we decided, as a agent recommending a price, I said don't go over $930,000. By the way, going back to appraisal, just want to let you know that appraisals differ in value. You could take 3 appraisals and you will get 3 different values. Just like if you call a realtor and get a value of your home or your commercial property, you will get 3 different value. So just because you take one doesn't mean that's exact value. But in case of loan purposes, if the value comes in, it's fine. So there's no magic science to it. You can take 10 appraisals and you'll have 10 different values on the same property. So going back to this example that I was giving you, it sold for $950,000. My buyers lost out, and I told the buyers, it's not going to appraise at that value. It's too high. They were asking for $900,000, which was higher than the comps, but because of the crazy market, somebody offered $950,000. Lo and behold, 2 weeks later, we get a call from the agent that, hey, Mike, the buyers backed out for whatever reason, but they did back out. So the first question I asked is, what did it appraise at? And usually they don't tell us, but this agent was somebody that I knew, and she said, you know what, it appraised at $940,000, which was much lower than the $950,000 price. So that was one of the reasons they backed out, but there's other issues that the buyer had, so they had to back out. Now, we ended up getting the property at $935,000, even though it appraised at $940,000, and it was in escrow at $950,000. The reason we got it at $935,000 is that the seller has already found another property, and they have to sell in a certain time. Luckily, we got it at $935,000, and of course, we took an appraisal, and guess what? Appraisal came in at value. Now remember, this appraisal came at $940,000, now it came at $935,000. So like I said, appraisal is not an exact science. Let me give you another example where you can use an appraisal. And before I give that example, appraisals can be used in other facets of the transaction of the property. Let's say, in fact, I'm helping a friend of mine, they're getting divorced right now. And either the husband will take the property or the wife will take the property, depending on whatever the settlement is. So the attorney called us, contacted me, and asked me for comps. And I said, you know, the best thing to do is I'll give you a value of the property, but I also recommend you get a professional value. So call maybe one or two appraisers. So we're doing that right now. So another example to use an appraisal is determine the value. Maybe there is a probate happening, or you get an inheritance and the siblings want to decide who gets how much. So that's another place you can get an appraisal. So let me go back to what's happening with an appraisal issue right now. I have a client, their two sisters and a cousin, three cousins, inherited a house from their uncle. And this house is free and clear, and it's worth about $950. It does need some work. So one of the cousins, or one of the person who's going to inherit the house, asked me and said, hey, I want to buy this house from my sister. How much should I pay? So I came up with a value of $950. It needs a lot of work, but on a regular sale it may be worth over $1 million. But it needs a lot of work. The owners who passed away never did anything in the house for the last 30 years. So then I said, you know what, that's my opinion based on this, but the market is transitioning right now. There's a shortage of homes, so it may sell for higher. So they got an appraisal, one appraisal, and the appraisal value came at $970,000. Now we went to talk to the sisters, because I'm helping the first cousin, and they went to talk to the sisters and said, look, you've seen the appraisal, you've seen Mike's, which is me, my value, which is $950, appraisal came at $970, and the cousin said, because we inherit the house, I'd like to stick to a price of $950, but I'll fix it up. And the sisters goes, oh no, we don't want to sell you at $950. Remember, these people inherit the house. But the sisters goes, I will sell it to you for $1050, $1,050,000. So I started scratching my head. You inherited the house is worth $950, and now you want $1,050,000. But it is what it is. So I told my buyer that I'm dealing with directly, there's two options. You can sell the house to the sisters, because they can buy it also. Let them buy and pay the extra $100,000, or you can buy. But when you go get a loan, if it does not appraise, and it probably won't appraise at $1,050,000, then you have two options. The option is, number one, let's say you get a loan for $950,000 value, then you can pay the difference. So in this case, if you buy it for $1,050,000, you have to come up with the extra $100,000 or whatever difference it is. So again, there's a lot of ways you can use appraisal. There is no set value. It differs in price. But if you have any specific questions about the appraisal value or what the process is, I'd be glad to help you. Please leave a comment below and I can answer those for you. Also, while you're watching, please subscribe to my channel. I would really appreciate it. I put out these videos once a week about real estate tips, real estate lifestyle, real estate statistics. I'm located in Anaheim Hills, but work throughout Orange County, and I'd be glad to help you or be a resource to you or somebody you know. Thanks for watching. Mike Patel.